Good day everyone. We are the group 7 and we are going to discuss about the art movements which is located in module 6. Lesson 1: Renaissance and the Return to Classics. The Mona Lisa by Leonardo da Vinci is one of the most famous paintings of all time and the product of the Renaissance period. It is so famous that it has been represented, parodied, and satirized many times. The power of knowledge. The Dark Ages preceded the Renaissance. One reason why it was called the Dark Ages was due to the lack of education among masses. A significant invention which marked the transition from intellectual darkness to enlightenment was the invention of the movable type printing press by German goldsmith and publisher Johannes Gutenberg in 1430s. Gutenberg's printing press allowed cheap reproduction of books which resulted to distribution of knowledge even amongst common people. What is the Renaissance? Art went hand in hand with human development but remained in the shadows for some time. Around 14th and 17th century, an unprecedented age of human enlightenment which started in Italy emerged across Europe. This era came to be known as the Renaissance. Renaissance is derived from the Italian word rinascimento, which means rebirth. As the word suggests, this period saw a revival of interest in the classics. It showcased a transition from religion-dominated Middle Age to humanism, which emphasized individual potential. Renaissance became possible due to the sophistication of society brought by political stability, economic growth, and cosmopolitanism. With leisure wars, people began working and developing ideas more than the usual needs to survive. The peace also provided more opportunities for education with the construction of more libraries and schools which promoted research on classical works and teachings. Likewise, the smooth flow of commerce improved the lives of several families like the Medici of Italy, whose financing business rose to the prominence in the 15th century and provided patronage to emerging talents. What are the characteristics of the Renaissance art movement? The classical art from ancient Rome and Greek greatly influenced Renaissance artists. The era marked the revival of the concepts of balance, naturalism, and perspective. It promotes non-religious art, individual and privately owned portraits, anatomically precise sculptures, and architecture characterized by symmetry.
The emergence of Baroque. The Baroque movements emerged towards the end of Renaissance derived from the Portuguese words barroco, which means irregularly shaped pearl. This art movement shares the realistic quality of Renaissance, but differs with the use of extravagant artwork created during the height of these movements can undefined through dynamic treatment of light and movement. What are the characteristics of the Renaissance art movement? The classical art from ancient Rome and Greece greatly influenced Renaissance artists. The era marked the revival of the concept of balanced naturalism and perspective. It's promoted non-religious art, individual and privately owned portraits, anatomically precise sculptures, and architectures characterized by symmetry and harmony.
Lesson 2: Renaissance and the Return to the Classics. Art continued to evolve with the rise of revolution and cultural transformation in Europe. The evidences of this artistic evolution are most prevalent in France. Everybody may agree that art is central to the spirit of France. This is somehow true as several world-renowned art movements began in France, namely Realism, Impressionism, and Post-Impressionism. Discussion: What is realism? In the aftermath of the French Revolution of 1848, a new art movement emerged, finding its roots in social change. Realism depicted real-life events, contemporary scenes of daily life, and ordinary people. This was distinct departure from artwork in the past which portrayed idealized perfection, metaphors, and allegories. is also considered as the first nonconformist art movement, with artists challenging social norms in a hierarchy with some self-publishing their own work. The wide gap between the rich and the poor and many other societal and economic problems lead to the traditional non-favorable subjects such as poverty, debt, and the spirals of the working class. Usually, the portrayals make use of dark and earthy palettes.
What is Impressionism? Impressionism was formed in the 1860s as a response to realism. This art movement was derived from Impression, sunrise, the work of French painter Claude Monet. In this painting of sunrise in the port of Le Havre, Monet focused more on color and tone of realistic depictions. Characteristics of Impressionism include visible brushstrokes and vibrant colors which capture light and moment. As a result, artists capture the impression of an image as if capturing the essence of subject matter. Unlike the practice of painting indoors, Impressionists embraced painting in plein air or out. Lesson 3: Modern Art Movement. The Industrial Revolution in the second half of the 19th century has brought globalization with rapid changes in technology. This period saw fast emergence of distinctive and new art style that reflects the changing world. In this lesson, we will discuss notable modern art movement, namely Art Deco, Cubism, Surrealism, and Pop art.
Discussion: What is Art Deco? Named after Exposition Internationale des Arts Décoratifs et Industriels Modernes, a design show held in Paris in 1925. Art Deco is influenced by a combination of major 20th century designs, which includes Greco-Roman, Babylonian, Egyptian, and Aztec architecture. They are characterized by trapezoid zigzags, triangular curves, and sunburst shapes, among others. Globalization and mass marketing made Art Deco popular internationally in many iconic buildings. What is Cubism? Developed by Pablo Picasso and Georges Braque in the early 1990s. Cubism was coined by art critic Louis Vauxelles to describe how the two artists used geometric form of reassemble component into an abstract form. The reduction of images to minimal lines and shape with limited hues to flatten the appearance was a clear break from the traditional use of perspective.
What is Surrealism? Fueled by imaginative power, Surrealism remains as one of the most popular art genres since the 1920s. Surrealists challenged perception and reality with the clash of the realistic painting styles with unconventional and unrealistic subjects. The limits of artistry are only bound by imagination, and this freedom is embraced over logic.
What is pop art? Short for popular art, pop art rose up in the 1950s and showcases imagery of regular, everyday object ads and comic books. A form of satirical art, it emphasizes the banality of common goods by combining parody and culture to make accessible art.